views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are the content creator's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Essex County College. The material and information presented here is for entertainment and informative purposes only. It should not be considered as professional advice or a substitute for seeking professional guidance.
Hey, what's good, Judgment the Loner once again, and well, today we're just going to go ahead and only talk about fundraisers, and mostly because that's what we did a few weeks ago, and that wasn't really long ago. Now, for the goal for the podcast, like, most we were just, like, upgrading the studio. That was the main goal, because, you know, as I said, like, there was only just, our studio remains to be small. It's just some green screen that's used as backdrop, 4 microphones, but even though I'm only using one, the podcast, and then we have the mixer, or in that case, the whole machine, the Rodecaster Pro. And then we just have, you know, we basically just have some posters of shows and, you know, just lights, like cheaply made LED lights with barn doors. But, you know, we barely, like, nobody even uses that except for their phones. Like, even there's a tripod over there where I could really use my camera and then just start filming my video. But, you know, I don't have my camera right now. So, either we're doing, so at the end of the day, like, for Senior Lane, you're only seeing that video, that show on an iPhone. When it comes to the Loner, it really just depends on what I'm doing. A majority of the time I'm recording my videos. I'm actually just doing my videos on my iPhone and then just editing them on DaVinci Resolve. But in the future, I will say right now, the next episode called Short Form SLAOs will be recorded on the mirrorless camera, as I want to experiment more than just, you know, filming on the phone, and also because I'm just getting exhausted with editing. Or another way, otherwise I'm just trying to save with audio. I'm just actually getting exhausted of how harsh and bright the phone, like the built-in mic sounds like on my iPhone. Not my iPhone, but on my Samsung. And now I'm actually going to upgrade that to my iPhone very soon. I'm actually going to upgrade to the iPhone 17. So if you remember what I tried to say last week, then that's what I was going to say. Now let's go back to our fundraisers. So as I said, we actually needed a bigger studio, and that's what we needed. For Yak, he actually already had a production facility, so, you know, they were concerned about it, and then how they were saying how his show shouldn't really, I mean, it's not that his show shouldn't really exist, but there wasn't really a point for him to go to Essex and then, you know, just start his own podcast here. And yes, I'm still going to respect Yak, because, you know, he invited me to his show. I only recorded one episode with him. Which, again, I'm actually glad that you supported my documentary, my own views on it. The episode was called Life is Hip Hop. But otherwise, that's the only time where I met Yak, and then afterwards, I actually never saw him again. Actually, no, the last time I actually even seen him was the club fair. But that was just about it. And then that's when I said I was going to make a video, or, you know, not Angelique. Anyways, no. That's when I said I was going to make a video about the film club, respond to episode 9. So that, of course, will correlate to my timeline. So I feel like by the next time, or at least the next year that I go to the same semester, by around fall 2026, I am not likely available. But again, I'm not really sure on what classes I'm going to be taking next. Now, again, this is when I'm also concerned about where I am going to rejoin the club. Because this is more like, I am welcome to go there, but, you know, I'm just probably going to treat myself as a guest, but I'm not going to be a full-time member. And that's only because they already have a crew, so there's no point for me to come back. But if I decide to come back, then I'm only going to be a guest, but I'm probably just going to be a one-time guest, and then I'll just ghost them again, and they'll never see me again. But whatever, I guess. So fundraiser, like nothing much was happening at that time. We only ended up with $77, and you could probably say it's underwhelming, but we received more than $77. Like, it was around like $100 and something dollars. That's from what I remember. But then we had to give some customers some change, and that's because we didn't have a cash register, and we didn't really support it. Just, you know, the digital wallets. So instead, we only just got some Venmo. We had some Cash App, and then most customers just paid it with cash. So it was just mostly like your basic store, you know, the popcorn sales and all that. But, you know, I can't really say much about fundraisers, because the goal is you're either doing this for charity, you're either doing this just so you can save your show or save your store, or you're just doing this for charity. Now it's either of those reasons, and then when it really comes to TV shows, they're just doing the same thing where they go ahead and just say to save our show. Either they succeed or they fail, but that's all I can remember. Actually, now that I come think of it, I actually do remember this one user on Twitter or X. I think it was called Save the Casa Grandes, where this one show that was a spinoff of the Loud House. Yeah, apparently this one girl decided it was a good idea to go ahead and make a fan account, or at least this one X account, just to save the show. So they had some petitions, but even then that petition failed. Now when it really comes to the PTK meeting, I actually had a goal of $400. Turns out I received nothing. So if I decided if I was going to go ahead and start my own studio, I'm actually not going to get anything. Like say that my goal is $1,000, just so I can go ahead and find a camera and just upgrade my camera. But then it's like, how many people are really going to care about that if nobody's selling, if there's really nothing for me? That's only one of the reasons why it's not. I'm not just saying that I'm giving up or just giving up too easy. I feel like if there's not enough support, that's just the only reason why I'm saying or believing that this club itself is dying. And that's only because there's not really that, like, either the members are disappearing or nothing is really going on. And then when it comes to every other clubs that I go to, either I'm a ghost and I just don't really do anything. And that's another example when it comes to the music club. I appreciate the music club as well. I don't have any problems with them, but I'm just only there just so I can go ahead and listen to music. And if I do have a role to become a keyboardist, then yeah, I'll probably be welcome for that by the next month maybe. But then that means I have to go ahead and practice more, and I have to participate in the rehearsals before I even get a chance to go on stage, or at least under the cafeteria pit, or whatever they're going to be at. But yeah, I guess I can say when it really comes to the music club, just be prepared yourselves for rehearsals and covers, because that's the majority of the time that's what you're going to be doing. You're just going to be rehearsing a cover, and I'm actually going to discuss more about that on my XG24 documentary, because I actually have a script for that, but that's only part of the interview portion. But anyways, aside from that, we only end up with $77, and then we only sold like pizza, some hot dogs, cookies, and drinks. But otherwise, it wasn't really much. We only just sold that for like a cheap amount, from $1 to $2. We actually had some bundles as far as $10, but otherwise, that was just about it. We didn't really sell that much, and so that's the only reason why we only had like $77 or less dollars. But aside from that, I was just like responsible for collecting the customers' money, whatever they paid on with cash, some Cash App or Venmo, and then it was just happening from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And speaking of which, I was supposed to have a class with my English professor. Turns out she wasn't even here. So I was extremely, at least I would say I was lucky that I get to join, or at least I was able to see what was going on with the podcast club, or at least the first hour of the fundraiser. Some of them were mostly concerned on, on what we were going to sell, like whether we were open. Like we were not even open up until like 11 or so. And that's when we actually had some customers. We even had some students from Eastside High School, and a couple, just a couple of adults, a couple of customers. I would just say it's just a couple of students and staff. Also, most of the time, Mr. Rob was also here. So that's from that, it was just only me, Jerry, and Samantha, just the main three. But otherwise, everybody else just disappeared, or, actually, most of them never came to school to begin. Like I think this one user, at least not one user, but this one girl said, this one woman this one girl actually said that she apparently she was overexhausted and how she overslept, which means she couldn't be able to go to school, so she just stayed home, and then it was just only three. And with this, and with how small the podcast club is, I just don't really think there's going to be a future of podcasting. Mostly because when it really comes to concept, like there's no concept behind podcasting. There's just no concept behind podcasting. A majority of the time, it's not us, but when it really comes to the normal podcast, then you're usually seeing some visuals, the same generic set, but recorded somewhere else aside from Newark. Maybe I should probably try recording a podcast at Arbonne Studios, but maybe not. Unlikely this will happen, but aside from that, It's either you see some stupid people talking about some stupid things, and sometimes I never understand what they're talking. Like most of the time with podcast, when it really comes to a podcast, you can have a stupid debate, and it's never going to get anywhere. It's just going to be a huge rant to where, again, nothing is leading over. There's just no. You don't even need to have a story to even start a podcast. You should just have a reason. Like, you should just only have a purpose for it. You don't need a story. You just need a purpose. That's what I would say. But I wouldn't say it would be my best advice, because if you take this out of context, then you wouldn't really understand the whole meaning of it. So I'm not going to go ahead and discuss that further. But that's really all we did. So aside from that, like, Mr. R was the coolest guy, remains to be the coolest guy at ACC. Supported us for the fundraiser, but nothing else was happening. It was just us only selling some things, but that's all. Like, nothing else. There's not really else I'm able to talk about. So that's all I'm going to say. So mostly just us, doing what we got to do, sell some pizza, and that's just. Well, I guess at the end of the day, that would be my only lesson. Turns out if you sell some hot dogs, not every student is going to be interested, but if you sell them some pizza of any kind, that's when you're that's when you'll receive more money. That's when you're going to receive more compensation. So lesson is, pizzas are always going to be the most sold out, it's going to be the most popular food, the most popular thing you can sell. And if it's not, maybe you can also sell some cookies and some drinks. But that's all I can say. I gotta go to the bathroom right now, and that's probably gonna be the perfect time for me to go ahead and just end it here. So that's going to be about it. I just want to make this episode a bit short because I didn't really get enough material. So again, I'm going to end it here. Come back in 2 weeks, and I'm going to start a new topic. And again, this will be me criticizing cinema, or at least the fake content creators that believe you should always use cinematic cinema and all that without knowing the meaning of film. All right, I'm going to go now. So till then, have a good day. Have a great rest of your night, and I will catch you guys once again in 2 weeks. And also remember, question and answers are still happening. So remember to go ahead and, ask me a question up until November 28th. I don't even know what's going on with me. But yeah, remember, the question and answers session is still happening. So feel free to go ahead and ask me a question over on XGArts24 on Instagram. And, remember, if there's enough material, then I'm going to make that up. Then the episode will happen. It's going to come true. And if it doesn't, then that means that you won't have an episode. Because originally I was going to say there was going to be an alternative episode, but it turns out I'm running out of ideas. So, help me out. Help me with some episode suggestions as well. Again, if you're ready as well, you can also give me some ideas of what I should talk about next. And yes, I'm going to remind you that every time, so, hopefully you're prepared for that. Anyways, I'm going to end it here. So until the next time, have a great rest of your day, have a great rest of your night, and that's it. Don't even know I have no idea how to end this show here. So take care of yourselves and, stay safe.
This has been a production of the Essex County College Podcast Club. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.